Shalom, everyone. I hope that you are all doing well, and I hope that you will accompany me within this discussion that I have today, which is one of depth and legacy as we get to discuss the musical prowess, the spiritual journey, and how that correlates within musical message with the one and only Inyarachaa, who has left his social footprint within the Israelite community with positive connotations associated with it. So I hope that you all get to enjoy, as I'm sure that I do, enjoy this conversation as far as wisdom and rhythm are concerned. And without further ado, let us go. Shalom, good sir. It is both a pleasure and an honor to have you on here, and I have definitely been immensely looking forward to this conversation.
All right, shalom, shalom. How you doing?
I'm doing good. I'm doing very good. And you?
I'm doing good. Been working hard.
I hear. I know that. Oh, that off-grid living, like that's man, building and everything.
Yeah,
Since the tabernacle, basically, man, that's
yeah,
crazy. Okay,
yeah.
so 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 let's just get okay. So for those who have somehow not come across your phenomenal music or your message or anything like that, you could take this time to briefly introduce yourself, your message, your music, and everything, and then we'll get right on and started.
Yeah, yeah, for those who don't know, I go by Inyarachaa. Inyarachaa just meaning humble spirit or broken spirit. I've been making music for a long time. Man, it's been a long time, but yeah, I was making music in the world, and when I was in the world, I had like a lot of, you know, deals on the table. I was introduced to I was like, I had one foot into the music industry, but since then, fast forward, I transitioned to making more positive music, music for the people, uplifting the people and everything like that. So yeah, that's pretty much it. I'm an artist. I do a plethora of things. Like, what's that saying? What's the saying?
Jack of all trades.
Jack of all trades. Yeah, that's pretty much me, man. That sums me up. You know, all the whole
I
off
can attest to
grid.
that.
Yeah, like everything. So yeah, that's pretty much it. I'm pretty low key these days. I try to stay out the way. I try to stay out the way and just take care of my family, and that's pretty much it. That's pretty much it.
Absolutely. Brilliant introduction. I can attest to the hardworking yet humble, low key nature of your personality for sure. Okay, and then you touched on like the first few questions I want to ask here. So, what inspired? Yeah, what inspired you to start making music, and when did it become something bigger than just a hobby?
Okay, so growing up, I was different. I've always been different. I've always had a different taste in music than my peers, my family. Growing up in a black community, everybody's like they go towards R&B and hip hop, right? But
Mm.
for me, like I said, I was different. I don't know how, I don't know why, but I gravitated towards like pop music and punk rock and alternative like type of music. I didn't like R&B. I didn't like rap for some reason, but over the years, I think I was in the ninth grade when it all began, right? Me and my friends, we would
Mhm.
always like when we started driving, we would always like steal our parents' cars and listen to like music, right? So at that time, that's when I was getting into hip hop. I
Mm.
think I was growing up listening to at that time like Gucci Man and Lil Wayne, all these different people. So I'm I was with my homeboys. I was like, man, what y'all think about us like getting on some songs, like trying to do this same thing? So it's
Mm-hmm.
funny. My mama had an old computer, like it was like a old big Dell computer, and I remember I downloaded this program called Fruity Loops where you can make beats, and I just started making beats. I was making beats, and it sounded so trash, but like yeah, and I was making like corny songs, but that's where it all started. And I just when I saw that I was able to do it, I was like, man, I want to keep doing this, and I want to keep getting better at it. So I kept making beats and I kept writing songs. I was writing songs about the girls I was, messing with, and just a lot of things that were going on. And it's pretty much the same as today. Like I'm the type of artist I write based off of experience, So everything that comes out of me is the things that I've lived through. So so yeah, that's where it all started. And I want to say I got serious with it when I was in high school. This is right before I dropped out of high school. I made a couple songs, and I saw how those songs impacted the people, what I'm saying, that I went to school with. They took the songs and they used it because we had what they call them, pep rallies. We
Mm-hmm.
had we had pep rallies, and they played my songs because we had a dance team, and I used to make songs for them. So that's when I started to see like I could really do something with this, you
Okay.
know. So at that point, when I realized that, I stopped doing all my work, and
Mm-hmm.
I just started writing songs every day, and I used to get in trouble for it. But that led me to dropping out, unfortunately. And then when I dropped out, that's when it really got serious because I did a song, and I tell this story all the time. I didn't expect that song to blow up, right? So it was just a random song that I did. It was called La La Land. And I was working at Walmart at the time. And so on my way to work, something just told me to stop by the radio station. It was the biggest radio station in my city. I went there. I had a CD. I had it packaged and everything, right? So I forget what they call them, MPKs or something like that. So basically, you had a CD. It has the song. It has the instrumental, and then it has the acapella, right?
Mm-hmm.
So I took it there. The guy was and the guy that was there, he was like, "What is this?" I was like, "Oh well, I just wanted to bring this to you all so that you can play on Sundays, because Sundays they play all the local artists' music."
Mm.
So he was like, "Okay, cool, all right." So I left, not knowing that, I didn't know. I didn't know what to expect. I got to work, and my phone was ringing, and it was a number I didn't know. So I answered it, and the guy was like, "Hey," I went by Lil Boone at the time.
Mm-hmm.
He was like, "Hey, is this Little Boone?" I was like, "Yes, sir." He was like, "Hey, you just gave me your CD, with the music on it." I was like, "Yes." He was like, "Man, you got something. You got something." And he was like, "You know what? Normally, we take the music and we play it on Sundays for the local artists, but you got something that I want to put on the mainstream, like airways, like every day. And when he said that, bro, I was like, wow. So he took it, he played it, and when I heard it on the radio, like everybody was calling me. It was like they was like, look, Lil Boom, like, bro, your song on the radio, da 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 da. And this was around the time Drake, I think Drake first song had came out. Girl, you the only one.
What?
Yeah. So
That's crazy.
I was like going, neck and neck with like Drake and all them, like, cause we had like a countdown. They did a countdown every day, Monday through Friday, and it was your top 10. And my song ended up being number one for like 2 weeks.
Wow.
Yeah. So that's when it got serious.
Wow. So there's a lot of wisdom in just doing it and action over inaction, right? Because it's like, and that's, I applied this philosophy for my channel as well, where it's like, I don't really know what I'm getting into, or nor do I have all of the procedures mapped out in front of me. But as long as I move forward, all of the opportunities will be opened up before me. And it's so interesting to hear that that's the same case for you. And it seems that your reward was amplified by this all or nothing situation where you gave basically all of your attention to your craft, and now it's grown into something unexpected and beautiful.
Yeah.
So
Yes.
that's awesome. I didn't even know. So you were so you were literally a competitor to like Drake and the very people who you were listening to.
Yes.
That's awesome. Okay,
Yes.
so then that kind of touches into my next question, which was, well, how did you make the decision that your music was to serve the nation, and or just to serve in general? Like how did you transition from that, making music for the benefit of you and perhaps even financial gain, and transition that into servitude?
Um, the Most High. I mean, I would say I would just plain and simple the Most High without even getting too deep into it. But like
Mm-hmm.
I was I was on this journey. Basically, okay, so like I said, I had one foot in, and
Mm-hmm.
I remember I was working on a mixtape. I forget the name of it. It's been so long. I was working on this mixtape, and I had a whole team behind me. So we had a conversation one day, and they said, "Hey, when you do this mixtape, we're gonna go to all of the colleges, and we're going to promote. We're going to, see if we can book some shows, and just set up this whole thing, right? This tour."
Mm-hmm.
Well, in the midst of that, that's when I got my calling. Out of nowhere, just one day, randomly, like I prayed, I meditated, and it's just like the spirit came over me, and basically, what was I saying?
We're talking about you were praying, you were meditating, and you felt the spirit come over you.
Yes. So, yeah, I felt the spirit come over me, and shortly after that, you know, I didn't want to do what I was planning to do anymore. I didn't want to do the mixtape anymore. I didn't want to go on the tour anymore. I just lost interest. And for that, I think I took a whole week just asking the Most High, like, okay, what is happening right now? Like, why am I losing interest in the very thing that I love doing? And when I sat there and I thought to myself, I said, okay, I'm referring to females as B's and H's, and you know just disrespecting them. I'm talking about sex all the time. I'm very egotistical. You know what I'm saying? Like I'm just seeing all of this, right? So all of my questions are being answered. Like I was just asking them, and then they were being answered just by me looking at myself. like just really just taking a look at everything that I had been doing, and I lost interest in all that. So I went back to my team and I said, "Hey, I'm not. I'll go ahead and finish this project, but I don't want to do nothing with it. You know what I'm saying? Like, yes, I'll put it out, but excuse me,
Mhm.
I thought I had to sneeze. Okay, but I was like, I'll put it out, but I'm not gonna do anything with it. I don't want to go on tour. I don't want to do none of that. And they were like, why? Like, what's going on? Why all of a sudden, you saying this? And so, I explained to him. I said, listen, I feel like I'm being called to do something different,
Mhm.
and I just want to embark on this journey of finding myself. It's on my spirit to just do that, and they couldn't understand it, so they got mad at me, and it was this whole big fallout,
Mhm.
and yeah. So to answer the question, that's how I transitioned from making worldly music to making more holistic, I guess you could say, music with substance,
Mhm.
music that uplifts, and music about our people. Because at that time, that's when I started to wake up too.
Mhm.
So again, going back to what I said earlier, everything you hear me put out is based on experience.
Right.
So at that time, that's when I was studying, because I had went back to church, the Christian church. And then on top of that, I was also studying Islam. I was also studying Jehovah Witness. What else was it? Basically, I was just doing a lot of research. I was talking with a lot of people that were in different faiths, and so basically, I remember one day I was at work, and when I got off, I went over to my cousin's house, and he was listening to some brothers street preaching.
Mhm.
And that, out of all the stuff that I was studying and looking into, that resonated with me the most. And man, it just, from that point, I started to learn about our history. I started to learn more about the Bible, really truly understanding it from a historical standpoint and just
Mhm.
everything. And then that's how all of the music just, it's
Just
how
cool. That's amazing because I can't help but to think about the our history as it relates to Saul and David, and we see how the Most High is able to move within the power of music. And so you personally can say that the Most High used music to sort of beckon you to the spiritual journey that would lead to a sort of mass awakening, because your music has touched literally thousands of people. So that's a beautiful thing to witness. And I did a lecture not too long ago about some of the ways that Satan likes to mimic the Most High. And it's interesting that you said that you started to become like you lost interest or and became disillusioned with the once desirable outcomes of your situation, because it seems like Satan, and the scriptures talk about this, like Satan will tempt you of your own vices and lusts and desires. And it also says that the Most High doesn't tempt. And but the Most High does tend to call. And then when he calls, if you actually listen, the things that you become desired, or the things that were once desirable to you, become at the lowest of priorities. So it's 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 interesting to hear that testimony come from you, and I can attest to what you're saying about everything within your music you've experienced, because I think I could be wrong, but I think in your song Yeshaya is coming, I think.
Mm-hmm.
Like the beginning of that song, it's like you hear a deeper automated voice saying, "Inyarachaa, go and gather my people, spread the message." So that seems to be accurate with what you're saying. So
Mm-hmm.
that's that's really interesting.
Yeah.
It's interesting how he will give you something, you'll flirt with it for a while, thinking that, okay, this is what I'm here for, and then it's like, okay, now is the time.
Right. Right.
Amazing. Okay, so what led? Okay, and I really like this question. What led to your name change from Lil Boon to Inyarachaa, and what does Lil Boon mean to you now?
Um. So I had an apartment. I got an apartment, right?
Mm-hmm.
This was I want to say 2013. It was my very first apartment, and that's where I just took the time to do a lot of studying, a lot of praying and meditating, and just really just focusing on just getting a closer or just becoming closer with the Most High, to the Most High. I remember the camp that I was learning under at the time. They had a school, not necessarily a school, but it was like a academy,
Mm.
and I think it lasted for like 12 weeks or something like that. I can't really remember, but I signed up for it, and they had a section in there where basically they taught Hebrew, like a certain style of Hebrew, and I think it was the what style was it?
Paleo.
No, it wasn't paleo. It was um it's been so long.
It's not just the Yiddish.
It's a term that they use. It's not coming to me right now, but anywho, that style I was learning, and every word, right? They sent you like this. It was like a little dictionary
Hmm.
of Hebrew words, and it had like the Hebrew word and what it meant, like in the masculine and in the feminine.
Hmm.
You know what I'm saying? So what I did one day, I was like, you know what? I don't want to go by Lil Boon no more, because I was still going by Lil Boon when I started the trend, that transition.
Mm-hmm.
But then, like I say, I just wanted to kind of do away with all of that and start over, create a
Right.
whole new identity. And so yeah, I was in the kitchen, I was sitting down at my table, and I was just going through this list, and I said, every Hebrew word has a meaning, and if I choose, like I was going through it like looking for like a name. So when I came across Inya, and when you look at my name in Yaraka, it's not it's not spelled the correct way.
Mm.
I just created that myself, but I think the true way to say it is in Nawa, in Yahweh. You gotta forgive me. It's been so long.
I got you.
In Nawa Yaraka,
Hmm.
something like something along those lines. But anywho, yeah, I was sitting at the table and I said, okay, I'm humble. I feel myself becoming more and more humble. That's my truly my just my true personality. Like, I'm really
Mm-hmm.
humble. I'm just playing, the songs I was doing in the world. I was putting out a lot of pride and all that. But
Mm.
once I did away with that stuff, just stripped all of that and just start seeing me for me. And I was like, yo, okay, in y'all, humble, broken, contrite. Is it with contrite? But anyway, yeah, I was like, in y'all, and then I saw recall, and I saw that it meant spirit or whatever.
Mhm.
And I was like, yeah, this right here, I like the way it sounds. I haven't seen nobody with this, so I'm gonna put this together, and that's what I'm gonna start going by. And that's just what it's been since then. So when you say like Lil Boom, like what does it mean to me today? I feel like it's gonna always be a part of me. You
Mhm.
know, there's so much history that comes with that name, Lil Boom. You
Right.
know, it's like so many memories, man. Like I say, outside of all of the sinful stuff, I just remember traveling and going to different places, Georgia, because I was in
Mhm.
Alabama at the time, but I was going to Georgia, Florida, Tennessee, different places, meeting people, and just seeing, because at that time, it was like the younger generation, like
Mhm.
children to teenagers, that was really like my core fan base. So to go around and see the looks on their faces when they saw me, and I don't know, it was special. It was special. But yeah, I will always like, it has a special place in my heart.
Right, right. I cannot for the life of me remember the name of this song, but I remember there is a song that you made under the pseudonym Lil Boom,
Uh-huh.
but you were rapping about our history, us being Israelites, etc. And I remember it ended with like you were just like you were done rapping, you were just spewing out nods. You was like in 70 AD. Like I was like, oh, he's going in. I can't remember this, but it's like it's interesting because I can imagine if within that song and multiple songs like that, if you ever came across a thought like, this is not the music that I'm making now and the feelings that I'm making now. Not only do I kind of want to go under a different name or identity, but it's almost a necessity because I'm no longer within the construct of that person. So
Mhm.
I've been writing um, quite a few essays actually on success and like what success means. And I think a major part of it is understanding the importance of the name or the sham, meaning like name, reputation, title, etc. What you're known for.
Mhm.
And I find it really interesting that all of pretty much everyone who comes into this truth always changes their name shortly afterward. And I think it's because like you eventually grow into like Paul says you sort of die daily, and so you
Mm.
become the or at least you strive to become the antithesis to who you once were. And but I find it really beautiful that you still say that Lil Boone is a part of you because that's that's humble in nature as well because often people be like, oh yeah, I'm no longer that person is dead, but that's not really entirely true because that's why
Mm.
it's a spiritual walk, it's an endeavor, it's a fight.
Right.
But that's really interesting. I love that you again, I love that you say that Lil Boom will always be a part of you and there will always be memories associated with that. And
Mhm.
I think that's important, and I think that part is what makes your music so impactful, raw, and relatable because it's like you're talking about all of these spiritual things and with all of the wisdom in ancient literature, but it's not like you're hearing it from a presence that is far beyond your reach. I feel like your humility within your music gives people that drive and understanding like, oh, I can actually do this, but not be totally far off from my foundation, which is
Mhm.
really, really touchy to do because that's sort of the point to find a new
Right.
foundation.
Right. Right. Yep.
Okay. Okay. So we sort of touched on your mission, but now I want to get a little more nuanced. So, what is something within your musical mission, or just something within your music in general, that people often misunderstand?
The message that I try to convey. I give you a perfect example, and okay, it's gonna be a little deep.
Let's do it.
Growing up, when I was like around first, second grade, I used to get bullied a lot,
Mm.
because I was different, right? And all throughout my life, yes, I had friends and things like that, but I've always been an introvert. I've always been like a homebody. I've always been like kind of to myself. I often enjoyed my own company or whatever. Like I don't go out and be around people like that. So people always, when they first see me, right? They may think I'm weird because I don't talk like that. I'm respectful. Like I'll say, hey, how you doing? Whatever. But
Right.
I'm just not the type to be, just in the midst of things or whatever. But anyway, over the years, like I say, because I was different, I had friends who were in the streets, robbing, killing. I had family members who were, killing and all of that. And even though I knew that they were doing these things and I was hanging with them, I was never involved, because something in me was just like, that's not right. That's not it. And I'm pretty sure that there are consequences that comes with those things, those actions.
Hmm.
So I never got into anything like that. But to answer the question and how I'm trying to relate this to something.
Hmm.
So when I grew up as a Christian, but then I started to research everything else,
Hmm.
and in that space, like as I was researching, family members and friends were making fun of me. Not only were they making fun of me, but they just couldn't understand what was going on at the time. Even though I explained to them, I'm like, listen, I'm just trying to do research. I want a better understanding for myself, right? I have questions, and when I go to church, those questions aren't being answered. So, I'm just on this journey. So anyway, fast forward, I'm in the Hebrew understanding or ideology or school of thought, right? So
Hmm.
I'm in that. I've learned a lot, everything about the law, statutes, and commandments, everything about our history, culture, everything, right? So then I had another epiphany. I feel, and I say this often, that like I had my second awakening. I feel like I was looking at things carnally,
Mm.
you know. And what I mean by that is, like, I try to explain this in my music, but we've been taught and conditioned to look at things only in the material, only in the physical,
Hmm.
and we try to understand the Most High like through physical means and just carnally. And I'll say around 2017, that's when I started to shift more into like the spiritual nature of things,
Hmm.
and since then, that's really what I've been, like the message that I've been trying to push in my music, and to show people like, listen, there's more to it than what we think.
Hmm.
There's another layer, a deeper spiritual layer to what we know. And that's not to say that what we know is not true, but it's just another layer to it. And the brothers and sisters in the community, like when I started to make this shift, I put out the album Journey 4.
Hmm.
That's when I started to introduce esoteric knowledge, or like, I guess metaphysical, more metaphysical, a more that perspective, right?
Hmm.
And when I put that album out, I got so much backlash, and I knew that as I was making the album, that I was like, I know they gonna get at me, but I didn't expect for them to like stop supporting me and just turning backs on me. You know what I'm saying?
Hmm.
But it was all due to misunderstandings,
Hmm.
right? Because like I say, the song, the freestyle that I have, Message 26, I think that's, yeah, Message 26, where, and I said, Christ is not a man, but in fact, it's an oil,
Hmm.
and I,
Yeah.
and I talked about like every month, God anoints you. That line in itself, even though I said a lot of other things in that song, but that line, it I guess it just did something to people. They were just like, oh yeah, no, I don't want to listen to him no more, because he's saying Christ is not a man. Like, but see, me, I knew, because I studied etymology.
Hmm.
You know what I'm saying? And I love studying words and the true meaning of words. And like, so when I said that, it wasn't meant. I didn't mean for it to come off like Christ didn't exist, or
Yeah.
like,
Denouncing the Messiah.
yeah, that's not what I was saying. I
Hmm.
was just saying, I was trying to make a distinction between the word and the man, right? So
Hmm.
so when you,
Yeah.
I'm just, if you look at the word itself, anybody could look it up.
Hmm.
It just means anointing. It means oil.
Hmm.
Like,
Yeah.
and then when you get
Yeah.
even deeper into it, you start seeing that it goes to chrism, Christos, and all that. So anyway,
Mm.
that's what I was trying to show people. And so I feel like, to go back to the original question, I feel like my lyrics oftentimes, they go over people's heads.
Hmm.
And
Yeah. For sure.
and as an artist, because I have a heart, and I truly be wanting people to understand, like, listen, that's not what I meant. Like,
Hmm.
this is what I mean, and that's why I do the presentations,
Hmm. Yeah.
so I can break down what I was talking about, and when, if they actually go and watch the presentations, then they be like, oh, okay, okay,
Hmm.
you know
Yeah.
what I'm saying? But I think as an artist, that's what's so unique and so beautiful about the art of
Yeah.
creating the music, because
Hmm.
you leave it up for interpretation,
Interpretation. Yeah.
you know and I've always had this mystique about myself, and I don't know, I just felt like it would be so dope to put what I was learning into the music.
Hmm.
You know what I'm saying? Because when I got to a point to where I could finally articulate it, I was like, oh yeah, like, man, this is gonna be dope. So
Hmm.
that's that. But yeah, that's the number one thing though, man. Like, people be misunderstanding the things I be saying in my songs. Like, not even the songs, but just in general, like the presentation sometimes. You know, but they have to understand that I'm more metaphysical than I am strictly like just carnal or physical.
Hmm.
Like, a lot of,
Right.
when I
Right.
speak, I'm speaking from a different You know what I'm saying?
Mm-hmm. Frequency,
So
if you will.
yeah. So,
Mm-hmm.
but it's not. It's I be trying to bridge that gap, you know,
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
because yeah, and
Mm-hmm.
that's just what it is. It's like I'm not disagreeing with you. Like I'm with you. Like
Mm-hmm.
we're on the same thing. It's just that I'm looking at it from a different perspective. That's all.
Yeah, yeah. It seems like you and your music are experiencing the Paul effect, where it's like Paul will have deep understanding upon the ancient material, and based off of that and his new understanding with, say, the Messiah's teachings, will cultivate a idea that's not necessarily new. It just has a new spin, flavor, or frequency upon it that's disenfranchising for those who are strictly beholden to the old. And
Hmm.
I think what you're experiencing is something that I'm eventually going to talk about, addressing the Israelite community, where I think that, okay, you did say this was going to get deep. because because Christ, throughout the entire New Testament, the Messiah talks about the importance of the Spirit and faith and grace, etc. And that is not denouncing the importance of the law, statutes, and commandments. It's just like we get that already, but now so that's the foundation. It's like let's build upon that to elevate ourselves higher, if you will. And
Hmm.
so the law is sort of the necessary, tangible, physical discipline in which we abide by in order to orient ourselves appropriately in the
Hmm.
spiritual realm. But then it's like when you come to the understanding of, and I like that too because I'm aware of Christ simply meaning anointed or anointing, and that's it's really deep when you think about it because I mean there's a lot of talk about Christ being like the second Adam, and I
Hmm.
mean what we can know for sure is Christ is the ideal archetype for
Yes.
what man is supposed to be,
Supposed to become. Hmm.
right? So when you think, okay, so Christ is anointed, so man is anointed, and then if you say something like that, it's like, oh, is he saying everyone's Christ? It's like, no, but then because Christ would say things that were seemingly outlandish all of the time, so it's like,
Hmm.
mm, you just have to make sure that what you're saying is and can be backed by the biblical anthology. As far as I'm concerned, I don't think, um, but I think that there are a lot of modern day Pharisees, excuse me, a lot of modern day Pharisees and Sadducees within, especially the Israelite camps, that are abiding by the same thing that Christ would or the Messiah would battle against with. This is like, oh, like we don't follow you, we follow Moses and the law of Moses, and it's like, yeah, that's fine, but Moses follows the Messiah, and what the Messiah is saying is definitely true.
Hmm.
And so I think where all of the criticism and the backlash came from is like I think it's really just the terminologies because they associate like third eye and even frequency and aura, etc., with like Eastern philosophy
Hmm.
and all the like idolatry basically. And
Hmm.
so I think I think it's really difficult to articulate all of the nuance within that within music. But at the same time, like you said, I love that you said the word artist because it's sort of, and correct me if I'm wrong, but it's sort of like an artist's job to push the boundaries of understanding and correlates new understanding with old principles to make a new picture. It's
Hmm.
supposed to have novelty, but if you're talking about something as like ideologically strong as the biblical corpus, for example, then
Hmm.
it would be rooted within traditional understanding. It just has a new touch or spin to it.
Hmm.
And I think people are just not that willing to digest those things, which is interesting.
Right. Nah, you said that beautifully, and
Thank you.
I think it is the artist's job, because music is powerful. It is so
Indeed.
powerful. I'm working on an album right now, and and it's been 2 years since I dropped an album, or like just really really serious music. I've been
Mm-hmm.
dropping things in between that, but like
Mm-hmm.
what I'm working on, it's been 2 years in the making. Now I've been watching documentaries, and one documentary that I've been watching is the one on Bob Marley.
I haven't seen that one yet.
His music at that time, you got to understand what was going on in Jamaica
Mm-hmm.
at that time. Like it was crazy, and the music was so revolutionary.
Yeah.
So it's one of those things, and it's no different from, okay, you have artists like musicians, you have authors, people who write
Mm-hmm.
books, and it was no different from what's the one you may know, is it 1984, Orwell, or Orwell 1984.
That
Any
sounds familiar.
Yeah,
What the?
the guy was an author. I put this in my presentation. You gotta forgive me too. My mind just be, but like,
You're good.
but he wrote a book, and he wrote it in allegory. But the
Mm.
way that he wrote it, he was using animals to symbolize like the people, right? And then the government, like everything that was going on at that time, he was looking at, and but he couldn't just come right out and talk about it. He
Right.
had
Right.
to write a book and create like an allegory, for people to read, and then be like to figure it out, like, okay, oh,
Mm-hmm.
he's really talking about the government, and
Mm-hmm.
you know what I'm saying, the all of the bad stuff that they're doing to their people.
Mm-hmm.
So because if he would have just came right out and talked about it, they would have killed him.
Mm-hmm.
So
Same with
so
Paul.
right, so that's what I'm saying. That's the same thing, like with music. Like, but I feel like with music, we push the lines like
Yeah. Yeah.
further, to provoke thought and everything. So yeah, that's
Mm.
yeah.
Absolutely. Okay. So, I'm saying. Okay. Okay. What are some things you know now as an artist or as an artist in the truth, that you wish you would have known prior?
Oh man. 1 second.
You good?
Oh, it's still dead. 1 second. Okay. You said what would I know now?
Yeah. If so, what do you know now as an artist in this truth that you wish you would have known prior?
And we're just strictly talking about music, right?
Anything really? Anything that corresponds with being an artist?
That's a good question.
Thank you.
I honestly don't. When it comes to music, I honestly, you know what? I had a conversation. I just put it like this. I had a conversation with, the brother, Anaviel.
No, I don't.
Do you may not know him as Anavi because he changed his name, but do you know him? You might know him as Humble for Yah.
Oh yeah, yeah.
Yeah, he changed his name to Anaviel. But anyway,
Huh.
I was talking to him a few weeks ago, and it was a conversation that was needed.
Hmm.
And from artist to another artist, and you got to understand too the caliber of artists that we are. It was humbling because he was sharing with me, like, how he navigates through everything, with the music and all that. And a lot of what he was telling me is stuff that I wish I had known, you know, um,
Hmm.
because I would have had a lot more success with the music. And granted, when it comes to music, like I'm not in it for the praise. I'm not in it. I tell people all the time, like, I don't even know how to receive compliments. Like, well, I don't know how to respond to compliments, because I look at it as, okay, I'm just another brother,
Right.
who happens to make music, and I'm pretty good at what I do, but at the end of the day, the Most High gets all the glory. I'm just a
Inyarachaa.
vessel. Yeah, like I'm just a vessel. So I'm not in it for nothing other than what the Most High called me to do. But he was just telling me, like, you can really elevate your life, and you out there on the land and everything, and you really, the work that you're doing in the music, you could benefit off that.
Hmm.
You know what I'm saying? Just off the support, of the people or whatever. You can, because I had told him, like, I didn't want to drive trucks no more,
Hmm.
and I wanted to, like, just be with my family all the time. I wanted to, like, just focus on making music just all the time. Like, I wanted that to be my job, and just really just helping people in any kind of way. So
Right.
yeah, he was just sharing with me, like, some things that I could do with my music, and he was, like, just giving me the knowledge on, like, how to work social media,
Mm.
how to, because he went to my page, my Instagram page, and he was like, bro, he was like, you got a video on here that has 8 million views. He was like, why didn't you use your song, one of your songs, for that video? That could have been revenue. You know what I'm saying? Like that, because you gotta understand, we get royalties every month
Mm.
because our music is being distributed. Like, we go through a distribution company, and they send it out to, like, TikTok, Apple Music, Spotify,
Mm.
Facebook, so on and so forth. And, like, every month they generate, like, all the streams, and then
Hmm.
based on how many streams you have, that's how much money, what I'm saying, you get or whatever.
Right.
So he was just telling me how to maximize that, or, like, just to take advantage of that by using, knowing how to work social media and using my music within that space. And I told him, I said, man, I really appreciate you, sharing that with me,
Hmm.
because I didn't know that. I didn't know that, like, on your Instagram or your TikTok or whatever, every time somebody clicks on a video that you have your song attached to, that counts as a stream.
Hmm.
So just imagine if I put one of my songs on that video of mine that went viral. That would have been 8 million streams.
Mm.
You know what I'm saying? And that would have brought in more income for me.
Right.
Like I say, at the end of the day, for me, it's really not about the money, but at the same time,
Money answereth all things.
I mean, so yeah, it's a lot of things that he was sharing with me that I wish I had known. But I'm glad I know now. But it's not just
Absolutely.
it's not just him though. I mean, it's countless people who I have had conversations with, who shared things with me, and they just put me on game. Like, just like, man, like, dang, I wish I known that before. Even when it comes to
Hmm.
building and stuff, like,
Hmm.
I'm 35 right now. Man, I wish I had known how to build and how to do all that stuff when I was in my 20s.
Hmm.
So, but I feel like I'm playing catch up though, to be honest with you.
Hmm.
I don't know if you ever heard people say these things, but like how you waste all of your 20s
Hmm. Yeah.
and then in your 30s you're trying to, you know what I'm saying, you're trying to learn and do things that you should have been doing in your 20s. So that's honestly how I've been feeling. And the fact that I have a family now is just, it's tough because I have, it's certain things that I have to sacrifice
Right.
and just give up and focus on my children, you know what I'm saying, and try to raise
Hmm.
them up. But yeah, yeah.
Yeah, that's interesting. I mean, that makes me think about the fact that your albums are always like, well, journeys, and I think that that's obviously alluding to the spiritual endeavor that we have to go through being in this truth, or just in general as people. But it seems like, hmm, it's like everything from spiritual things, musical prowess, monetary gain. It seems like from what you're telling me, it's like you wish you would have known those things, but it's almost like that kind of takes away from the idea of the journey. Like as you continue forward, you progress, you elevate, and that escalates your the benevolence of your situations. So that's very interesting.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, okay. So I'm really interested in your take on this. Okay, so before I ask this, and you're more qualified, so you can please let me know. But I think there's real spiritual substance in the singing of songs. Now, I understand that there are spiritual implications for rap, but I was reading, I read this somewhere. But when you analyze like Michael Jackson's music, for example, the music that he produced was on a certain frequency that made people want to dance.
Mm-hmm.
And so that's when you always associate Michael Jackson music with dancing because of the resonance within that music. And I
Right.
think that's the same thing for love songs, spiritual songs, etc.
Mm-hmm.
So and we can talk about how or what that is for rap, but why do you think that the majority of Israelite music is rap and not songs? And I mean, there's definitely like singing songs out there for sure, but I think that majority of it is rap. And I have my own opinion, but I want to see what you think.
I mean, it's just like everything else. I feel like there's a I don't even know if this is the correct term to use, but oversaturation.
Oh, I see. I see.
Yeah, it's oversaturated. I just, it's funny. I'll just mention the brother Naviel because he said this. We was talking about it. He was like, everybody is rapping, but everybody shouldn't. What did he say? I don't want to misquote the brother, but hopefully I can articulate this. It's like you got so many people rapping, and listen, by all means, if
Hmm.
you want to praise and worship through music, do your thing,
Hmm.
right? But I feel like there's a lot of people out here who make music that shouldn't be making music. Um,
Agreed.
I mean, you got sisters who be singing, boy, but they be off key like crazy, and it's like just you want to support them, you want to show
Hmm.
love, but you be like, yeah, that ain't. I don't know who was with you or who hyped you up like when you made that, but that's not it, sis. Like for real. So yeah, I just feel like with the rapping though, like yeah, it's a lot of that, and I it's not just with faith based music. It's everywhere. I mean, just look at the music nowadays in the world. Like all these what this song there's a song out. I haven't even heard the whole song, but I just heard like people in their reels and shorts use the
Hmm.
song. But like what it go like something like what the hell? What the helly? What the something
Oh.
like that. And I'm just like I just be like, bro, people be supporting trash, bro. Trash. And
Indeed.
that's just where we at with it, man. I just it's really nothing you can do about it. I mean, everybody just feels it's like social media. Everybody has social media. Everybody's on social media. Everybody feels like they have a voice,
Hmm.
but I just feel like everybody shouldn't be saying things and doing things, man. I just think that yeah, but I don't even know how to answer that question, bro. I don't know why there's more rap than it is singing. I mean, or R&B. Um, but I just think it's probably culture too, though. Like
Hmm.
a lot of brothers grew up on rapping, on hip hop or whatever, and that's just probably their way of expressing themselves or whatever. But
Hmm.
I definitely think when it comes to R&B though, um, that's why I thank the Most High all the time for giving me the talent that He gave me because I'm versatile.
Yeah, you very, very versatile.
I can I can do R&B if I wanted to. I can do country if I wanted to. I can do punk. I can do pop. I can do it all. And for me to have that gift and that ability, um, yeah, I just don't allow myself to be stuck in one genre.
Hmm.
But yeah, I'm just glad that I don't only do rap. Yeah.
Absolutely. Yeah, and I can definitely attest to that because like I do think that you're one of, if not the most like versatile musical artist, especially within the Israelite community, because you'll make you'll make like a quick like message rap where you're addressing all of like the hate you're receiving, and then you'll
Hmm.
turn around and make spaceships. Like
Yeah.
so, it's like what? Who's doing that? No one. But
Right.
but okay. So I I, I want to see what you think about uh, my opinion on this. So
Hmm.
I think when we look at the I don't want to say stereotypical, let's say archetypal black man, we
Hmm.
really propagate the idea that the black man is hard and is strong and is hard all the time. And I think that comes from like I think that comes from rap. And I think when we go into the culture of hip hop, or at least this is what I have deduced after a lot of listening, it seems that rap is the music that you go for when you are retaliating against unjustified suffering.
Mm.
And I think part of that retaliation, because you need pride to accompany retaliation. But I mean, and that's why I think your music is really good too, because you have that umph, let's say, and that's like you you amalgamate that within spiritual song and practice. But when you
Hmm.
look at just traditional rap, it's like you have to talk about, being with multiple female partners and the money and all of this because that is mine. I
Mm-hmm.
came from nothing and this is now mine. Look at me because I've gone through all of this trash and I'm never going back. And it's like, fair enough, but I think in the truth, I wonder if that sort of, I wonder if the archetypal Israelite comes into the truth and is like, okay, now there's a new branch of this suffering because now it's sort of not even unjustified suffering because my ancestors are the reason for my being in this predicament. And
Mm-hmm.
so now I have to do that spin where it's like retaliation, but in a spiritual sense. But it's strange because when you hear rap, I usually associate it with emotions like anger
Mm-hmm.
or hate or like um, ego, etc. Not saying that all of it is like that because it's not, but that's like the main idea.
That's what they push. Yeah.
Yeah, so I think that's sort of what I think about it. But I definitely like. Do you know this brother? I call him the professor of the truth. He's called Kazawan. He's got his channel is the Tribe of Judah Teach. He makes beautiful songs,
Mm-hmm.
or like spiritual R&B, I guess you could say.
Yeah.
And I
Send them
think,
to me. Send.
yeah, yeah, for
Yeah.
sure, yeah, because it would be so crazy if you guys made a song together. He hasn't been seen for literally years, unfortunately, but I think we need more songs like that, and I feel like it's very, very scarce in general, but
Mm-hmm.
especially within our community.
Yeah.
Um, okay, so I'm really interested for this. So we all love the song 100 that you did with the big head honchos. Like I know Peasy was on there, Karatazah,
Mm-hmm.
John Boy. I think those were the
That's
ones
it.
that were there.
That's
Yep.
it.
Yeah. So
Yeah.
so so can you walk us through like the creative backstory that led to the cultivation of that song?
That was all Karatazar, to be honest with you. I mean, he made the beat, um, and he
Yeah.
called me and he was like, "Hey, I just made this fire beat, and I want you to get on it." And so he sent it to me, and I mean, shoot, that same day I knocked it out, and when I guess I didn't know he was gonna send it off to other people, but when he finally sent back like the final version, and I was like, oh wow, like man, you got John Boy and Peasy on it, okay. So
Yeah.
yeah, I put it out, man, and like that, yeah, that was one of our most streamed songs.
Yeah.
So
That
so
that was great.
yeah, like I said, it wasn't really nothing special. It was just Karatazar. He came up with it, and yeah,
Yeah, just a casual Avengers Assemble moment. Nothing too big.
yeah, yeah, yeah.
Yeah,
It's
I
it's
got. Yeah.
No, I was just gonna say it's funny. You mentioned somebody. You said Karatazar PZ John Boy. Um, it's the same thing with Karatazar. He hasn't put out any music in years, and
Oh, really?
I got a lot of people who have been reaching out like, man, like what's going on with Karatazar? What he doing? Where he at? All that,
Right.
right? But we got a song on this new album that I'm doing,
Yes.
and I just told him literally like this morning. I said, bro, because he sent his verse back today,
Nice.
and I heard it, and I texted him back. I said, boy, you snapped, and then I said, people are gonna be so happy to hear from you, you know,
For sure.
because it's been a long time. So I'm excited. I'm really excited.
I am too. I'd like to have a conversation with Karatazar as well because I like one of the anthems I think within the community is Mitri Down.
Hmm.
Mitri Down is just ridiculous, dude.
Yeah.
Like it's on that frequency where you have to dance. So,
Yeah, yeah, yep.
yeah, you guys are legends, man. That's great. Okay, so now we're on to our last three questions here. So, who is your favorite rapper or favorite musician in general, and how have they influenced your style slash your message, if at all?
Would it be okay if I name multiple?
Yes, absolutely. I'll be even better.
Yeah, I don't have a favorite per se, but okay, like I told you, I'm very versatile.
Mm-hmm.
So I'll give you my top five.
Let's hear it.
Are you familiar with B.O.B.?
That sounds familiar. I'm not too familiar with the music though. I don't think.
You the airplanes and night skies and shooting stars.
Oh, that last part.
And wish
Yeah.
right now. But anyway, yeah. So him, he's one of my favorites because of his versatility.
Mm-hmm.
He can sing, he can play instruments, he can, I mean, he produces the majority of all of his music. He's a phenomenal like lyricist.
Mm-hmm.
And then his art, for me it was always his articulation.
Mm-hmm.
like like I say, I as an artist, I study other people's craft.
Mm-hmm.
And B.O.B. is hands down one of my favorite, if not my favorite. Now the only thing, and like I say, I like artists who gives you their real self,
Authenticity. Yeah.
authentic, yeah, all that. I love that, right? Because
Right.
oftentimes once we get into these spaces where like, okay, now we want to be more spiritual or whatever, like we
Mm-hmm.
gravitate towards music that's just strictly
Yeah. Yeah.
praise and worship.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
But then it's like we lose, how can I explain this? It's like the I guess, how can I say it?
I get what you mean. It's
We
like
forget
the
that we're still human.
right. Right.
In that we are flawed. We make
Mm-hmm.
mistakes.
Yeah.
So I guess, a lot of us, and I did this one time before, like early on in my walk, I
Mm-hmm.
tried to play that perfect role. I tried to,
Mm-hmm.
you know, just come off like, yeah, like I got it all together.
Mm-hmm.
But then it was a revelation that I had, and you know, it was I was living, because I moved to not Oklahoma. I moved to North Carolina with some friends that were in the
Mm-hmm.
community, and I'm up there, and I'm making videos with my Metreon and everything. But
Right.
then at the same time, like I had a girlfriend,
Mm-hmm.
and I'm out cheating on her.
Mm.
You know what I'm saying? So I wasn't doing right. I wasn't being true, none of that. So they called me out on it, which I appreciate them for to
Mm-hmm.
this day. They was just like, listen, you on the internet, you making videos telling people not to do this and not to do that, but you out here, you know what I'm saying?
Right. Right.
So I ain't gonna lie, it was a crying session that we had. Like I cried to him. I was like, yeah, y'all right, you right. I got to get my stuff together.
Right.
So, but anywho, I say all that to say, like, we just, I appreciate the artists out there, even though they may still be in the world a little bit, but the fact that they're still elevated and they can give you something to make you think.
Like Courtney Bell.
Prime example. And
Mm.
I see what I see what Courtney has done. See,
Mm-hmm.
he's from the streets. he has really been in that. You know what I'm saying? Like in the
Hmm.
belly of the beast.
Hmm.
Yes, he went through, learning about his Hebrew Israelites, the culture, everything, right?
Hmm.
And then people may think like, oh yeah, man, that brother done fell off. That brother, he talking about this and that, this and that, this and that. He's still cursing and whatever. But see,
Hmm.
I'm not gonna judge the brother because, again, as artists, if you're trying to reach people,
Hmm. Right.
sometimes just saying like, hey, y'all need to repent, they
Hmm.
don't receive it.
Right. Right.
You
Hmm.
have to formulate and craft, lyrics that they can hear and be like,
Relate to.
because truly, what you're doing is, and I think you was talking about this earlier. As artists, it's our job to convey messages and plant seeds and
Hmm.
provoke thought. Um, and for me, I always look at it like with my music, I'm speaking to the soul.
Right.
You know what I'm
Hmm.
saying? So it's like somebody hears my music and they may not understand at the time like what I'm talking about, but something in them is
Hmm.
dying to know.
Right. Right.
You understand what I'm saying? So like with Courtney Bell, yes, he still curses and he still, he talk about street stuff and all that, but it's done in a way in which it's he's planting that seed in them
He's
to have them to start questioning and, what I'm saying, wanting to do better or whatever, and come out of those situations.
Yeah.
That
It's
that
like he's reaching his hand into the darkness to grab someone out, type of thing.
Yeah, and I feel like that's necessary
Yeah, for
in
sure.
certain circumstances. Like you case in point, the Messiah.
Hmm.
The Messiah didn't go around to people who were already
He was from
healed, or
Nazareth.
you know what I'm saying.
Right.
He went to the hoods, the ghettos. That's where he was
Right.
from.
Right.
He
Exactly.
he sat with the sinners and all of them. So I like I
Hmm.
say, at the end of the day, if the Messiah did it, then who are we? You know what I'm saying? The servant is
Precisely.
not greater than his master. So
Right.
yeah, I just feel like as artists, we have to. I mean, if we were called to do that, we have to do or demonstrate the same thing. So back to the original thing, but like, yeah,
Hmm.
Bob is one of them. I think I told you this before, long time ago.
Hmm.
Hobson.
Hobson. Yeah, bro. Oh my goodness.
Hobson is another one. I love how he speaks against the ways of the world. You know what I'm saying?
Hmm.
But at the same time, his image in itself
Yeah.
is like, you know what I'm saying.
Yep.
It'll throw you. But Hobson is cold, man. He
He is
expresses
cold.
like the things he deal with. But at the same time, oh man, like one of my favorites that he did. You know the one that said ill mind of Hobson.
Elmire Hobson. Was he in
The
the
first
desert?
one. It was the first one. No,
He was like in his room just freestyling by himself.
well,
Yeah.
no. I think it was kind of purple. The color.
Oh yeah, yeah. Oh, I know which one. It's like da 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 da.
Yeah,
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 yeah. That's
yeah.
hard. That is hard. That song is hard.
But even the one in the desert though.
Yeah, the one in the desert is like my favorite.
When I had a brother in this, when he dropped that song, the brother was like, man, what Hobson on? Like,
Yeah,
why is he saying? But I was just like, man, listen,
you
bro.
have to understand.
Yes. So
Like,
so I'm gonna just continue. So B.O.B. Hobson, Tory Lanez.
mm,
Surprisingly, I
hmm,
like I like Tory Lanez
he's
because
versatile too.
versatile.
Mm-hmm.
consistent,
Mm.
um, and then just man, his ability to jump from genre to genre and then do it at such a high level,
Right, right.
like oh my goodness. So like yeah, so Tory Lanez, now when we talk about like lyricism and like
See.
I was always fascinated by Eminem and
Yeah.
his pen.
Yep.
Like I was literally like when my wife brother we was listening to some songs the other night, and I told him I said now listen to how Eminem structure his songs, bro. Like
Bro.
I
Right.
was like, man, this is hard.
It's so hard. Yeah, Eminem,
You know what
legend.
I'm saying? So I just love how different artists like how they write, how they
Hmm.
structure their songs. So yeah, like I say, man, I can give you a whole list of people.
So you got, I think you have one more. So you have B.O.B., Eminem, uh, Hobson, Tory Lanez. You got one more.
What's this brother name? You may know him. Um,
Probably don't.
he was an underground rapper.
Streetlight?
Mm-mm.
Streetlight is ridiculous, dude. He's in my top three.
You say Streetlight?
Yeah, Streetlight is in my top three. 100%.
Um,
Super underrated.
this brother that I'm talking about, I want to get him. I'm looking at something real quick. Hold on,
Hmm.
1 second. I'll tell you exactly who he is. I'll tell you. 1 second. I don't mean to.
No, no, you're good.
King Los.
Los. Oh, isn't that the dude you did a song with? Or multiple
Mm-mm.
songs with?
Mm-mm.
Or
No,
maybe he's King something else.
I never done music with him, but bro, King Los, if you type on YouTube and go look at his freestyles, look at LA, I think it's LA Leakers, something like that.
Oh,
Bro,
yeah, definitely LA Leakers.
oh
Ah, that
my
sounds
goodness.
familiar.
He like I say he was a battle rapper.
Oh,
But yeah, his ability, like he's another one. It's like when certain people when you listen to them, it's like they channeling, like they can just you
yeah.
just like, oh my god, bro. But yeah, so I
So,
just say I say King Los or Jid or JID.
oh yeah, Jid. Oh my goodness.
Yeah.
All right, so my top five, it would be, um, I'd say Streetlight for
Mhm.
sure, Eminem for sure. Uh, top five, top five. Probably say Joyner Lucas.
Yeah. Yep.
Yeah, Joyner's ridiculous. Let's see who else. Who else do I be listening to? I'll probably throw Hobson in there, and then number one is J Cole. J Cole all day.
I forgot about. Did you hear the did you hear the most recent song he put out?
No, no, I have to listen to it.
Oh my
I have to
god.
listen to it. Yeah, Cole is he inspired me to write.
For real?
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
Actually, I have a song that I have the song done already. I just have to like rap on the beat and put it out there. But yeah, that dude Cole, and yeah, definitely Eminem as well.
Yeah.
That's
Have you ever heard of a this he's kind of new on the scene, but his name is Akeem Ali.
Oh yeah, yeah. My wife loves that guy, dude. He's the one he has like the alter ego of the
The
pimp
different
persona.
persona. Yeah,
Yeah,
yeah, yeah,
he.
yeah,
I hate to say it, bro, but he's smooth, bro.
yeah. He
He's
is.
smooth.
He is. Yeah, yeah,
Yeah, his lyricism is ridiculous.
yeah.
Okay, okay. So two more questions. What do you think is the biggest issue that our people are facing, and how do you address that within your music?
There's still it's multiple issues. You said the biggest issue, but
Yeah, probably the biggest issue.
I think the biggest issue is the lack of love.
Yeah, we could talk about this for sure.
You know what I'm saying? Because I have to put there's so many different things, but it all goes
Hmm.
back to that the
Hmm.
lack of self love, and the fact that like people still have deep embedded like trauma,
Hmm.
issues that they have yet to face and overcome and work through. So I feel like man, our people have a lot of work to do.
Hmm.
But yeah, I would say that's the biggest thing, man. Love, like I'm talking genuine, unconditional love.
Hmm.
You know,
Right.
we got
Yeah.
all these camps,
Yeah.
and yet there's I'm for real, like there's so much, still so much division.
Hmm.
It's like, oh, I'm not gonna support you because you're not a part of my camp or organization. It
Hmm.
doesn't matter. I say this all the time. I put it in my music. I in my on my social medias. It's sad because it's like I'm gonna use myself as an example. All I do is promote peace, love. I
Hmm.
uplift people. I pride myself on being an example in many different ways. Especially when we talk about actually living the word
Hmm.
and applying the things that you've been learning or taught to your life and actually walking out on faith.
Hmm. Yeah.
Leaning on the Most High 100%. Like I feel like I've showcased that in many ways, and
Hmm.
like I say,
Yeah.
it's not to put myself on a pedestal or anything, but it's you got people out here that's truly doing the work or living in their purpose. But again, when we talk about different camps and stuff, they still they won't work with me. They won't,
Yeah.
it's like all the knowledge that I've acquired over the years, and especially with my the skills that I've developed as well, building, you
Hmm.
know, all that stuff.
Right. Right.
I sometimes be sitting back and I think to myself like, dang, all these brothers and sisters that's in these camps, like they follow me on social media and they don't come to me, they don't talk to me. Like they don't I be expecting for them to like, hey, like, hey man, like how you do this, how you do that. I see you do. But yeah, and I think I just chalk it up to like it's just that whole mentality of like, yeah, like he's not a part of my camp or whatever, so I don't
Hmm.
feel the need to ask him anything or talk to him or whatever. I would
Yeah.
rather go to somebody that's within my own camp who's
Hmm.
doing what he's doing, and I'll go to them instead.
Yeah.
Yeah, I hate that.
Yeah. Yeah, I could definitely attest to that. That's why coming real soon, actually. Um, and it's funny because you said this earlier. I have this feeling that when I make this lecture or message to the Israelite community, I'm going to get a lot of backlash, if any views on it, because I think that is, to sum it all up, our biggest issue as well. It's the lack of love that transcends, because that's one of the like two like so Dr. Peterson talks about this quite a bit.
Mhm.
Two of the most tangible things in life is pain and love, and I think the main reason why love is in that category is because love transcends beyond life, etc. And so that is definitely void. Well, I won't say void, but it's scarce within the Israelite community for sure. And I think that it's spewing into the street preaching as well, because there's countless instances where I now have to be the person to break the stereotype of the mean, cursing, uh,
Yes.
verbally vandalizing Israelite yelling at people on the corner. And it's like, that's all just because of trauma and lack of patience, etc. And you have a bar actually in oh, this is actually the song that you did with Courtney Bell, and I can't remember the other brother's name for whatever reason, but you said like
Sleepy.
Sleepy. So
Hmm.
so the bar you said was, it was something like, if you knew a sister who was heading for disaster, would you lose your life to grab her, or would you throw scriptures at her? So, and that's a really good question, because I don't, if everyone within the community is honest, I don't think a lot of people would actually know the answer. And then
Mm.
often they would just throw scriptures at them because they think that that's the equivalent to trying to grab her, which it's actually like what we identified with, like Courtney Bell and even Peasy and other artists,
Hmm.
etc., who actually go into that darkness, show
Hmm.
relatability to pull them out into the light. It's the calling into the darkness. You can't, and that's really the art or the trick to it, right? Because darkness will never mingle with light,
Mm.
which means that if you're going to be a light, you're going to really dispatch of darkness, which is good. But if there are people that are within that darkness, they need to have some sort of hope of getting into that light. If they think, oh, these people they're doing too much, they're so perfect, they're nothing like, then you're never going to reach them, like we were saying earlier.
Yeah.
And so I think that that's definitely one of the, it's almost embarrassing, because when we look at pretty much any other faith, and this is just typical of Israel, really, there is a unity, at least an ideological unity within doctrine. And I think because there's so much division amongst doctrine, that's why you have so many camps. And
Hmm.
so, because everyone's so ideologically rigid within their own biases and doctrines, they can't see eye to eye on anything else because they're so busy looking at the differences,
Hmm.
which is just, it's the reason why there's a northern and southern kingdom. But yeah, that's, and it's almost disheartening, because it's like, I don't really know if we can do anything about that. It's just like the Messiah is just gonna sort everything out upon his return.
Yeah.
But
I ain't mean to cut you off, but I think
no, go for it.
it's a spiritual problem that we have.
Mhm.
It's deep. You know what I'm saying? It's this. I've sat here and I've pondered on it so many times. Like, okay, is there anything that we could do on our own accord
Right.
to fix this problem? There isn't.
Yeah, I
I
don't
mean,
think there is.
we can try to do what we can, but at the end of the day, bro, it's so rooted and like deeply like embedded. Like
Hmm.
what you just said about the doctrines, that's true. Is like we can't see, people cannot see eye to eye. They can't see past all of that. And I I mean, me as an artist, I through my music have tried to put that out there.
Hmm.
And
Yeah.
I have songs like where's the love.
Yeah. Where the love? Yeah. Where's the
Um,
love at? Yep.
yeah, I have multiple songs where I'm trying to communicate to them like, listen, we have to elevate above that, man, and start like
Hmm.
seeing like seeing the human or the humanity in each other. And
Hmm.
when I
Yeah.
look at you, I see my sister, I see my brother, like it truly like living the commandments. You know what I'm saying? Not just following it,
Hmm.
just living it. Like
Yeah.
having unconditional love for you. Like we've all gone through this struggle. We've been through this. You know what I'm saying?
Hmm.
And it's just sad, bro. That's why I feel like
Hmm.
only the Most High can fix it. Only the Most High can fix it.
Yeah, and I think because you talked about this earlier, where it's like, because I know that you're um, not alone, and I was when I came into this truth, I was like 13, 14. I think I was 13 when I had my first awakening,
Mm-hmm.
and I was also, you know, I was galvanized within my ability to be awake or conscious of truth to
Mm-hmm.
where it sort of blinded me from the main picture of unity. And so I would, be so vehement about trying to get people into the truth and get people in, get people in, get people in. And if I can't, then away with them and then on to the next. And it's, almost a psychopathic trait when you analyze the psychological literature. It's like the short-term gratification of having someone behold you and being transformed by your presence is it's not realistic. And then if it does happen, usually that person isn't in the faith for very long because shortly to come is going to be a lot of pain. And
Mm-hmm.
so I think the problem is, or part of the problem is that we will put ourselves on a pedestal to where it's like, look at me, I'm up here. And if you're not here with me, then to hell with you, basically. And then on top of that, it's like, if you can't subscribe to the ideologies that I abide by on this level, then you can't possibly be amongst the elect set in by the divine. Because, and that's in itself is almost like a God complex, because who are you to judge who is within the elect or who isn't? And then
Mm-hmm.
it's like, you you end up taking the Most High's name in vain, because you will use the principles orchestrated by the divine to bring about short-term gratification for your flesh, and then you call that unity and brotherhood and checking people without being relatable on any level. And I think that's what we're missing too. Whenever you see someone as a Hebrew Israelite, they're always ranting on about some doctrine, and you
Mm.
never really get to know that person. It's
Yeah.
like, and then that means you talk to one Israelite, you talk to them all, and if you talk to one that's mean, let's say, then that must mean all of them are mean. So
Mm-hmm.
now there's a mechanism in which we can't unify within ourselves, and because we can't unify, it's that much more psychological friction for those to even come into the truth.
Mm-hmm.
Because now you have to be in the truth, and then you have to you have to defend the truth, and then you have to be like, yes, not all of us are like good, but the truth is the truth still. It's just, it's a hard sell, and I think that's detrimental to the faith itself.
Yeah. And it's no different from what we see in Christianity. I mean,
Mm,
if you look at the statistics, a lot of people are leaving the church, Christian church.
mm,
And if you were to ask some of these people why are you leaving, or why have you left the church? In the Bible altogether, some of them have left the Bible altogether. And I think it's to your point, it's the people who represent the scriptures, or
yeah.
who's supposed to be the representatives of God, right?
Hmm.
You hear them speaking a certain way, and
Hmm.
talking about God all the time, and da 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 da, or if we talking about the Hebrew community, the Most High this, the Most High that, Christ this, Christ that, and law, statutes, and commandments. But
Hmm.
when outside of them talking, and I always say this, I pay attention to people's actions.
Hmm.
Their actions say something totally different. and they do not display or demonstrate the love that Yasha or the
Hmm.
Messiah displayed or demonstrated.
For sure.
And when people see that, it makes them like not even take it serious. Like
Yeah.
uh
Exactly.
so and it's sad because here we are as people
Hmm.
who are truly genuine and truly like we have a love for the people, and so we have to work 10 times harder and find
Yes.
other ways to connect with people and to
Hmm.
get them to see the
Pitch. Hmm.
truth. You know what I'm saying?
Yep.
Um. So yeah, I feel you, man. I just it's really difficult because my approach to all of this is different than other people. Like my method on how I connect with people.
Hmm.
I as much as I know, I don't. Whenever I meet somebody, I go down to their level. I never come
Absolutely.
off like I know what I know. You know what I'm
Absolutely.
saying? I just come with a lot of humility. I come with like with a blank canvas, and I try to like
Hmm.
I pay attention to the conversation and how it's going.
Hmm.
If I kind of gauge and see like, okay, they may not be ready for this, so I'm not gonna
Right.
mention anything about this.
Right.
But I can only, stay surface level with them. But I
Hmm.
introduce different concepts, ideas, and
Absolutely.
and then I've through experience I saw that it has worked for me.
Absolutely. Same here. I'm the
You
exact
know,
same way. That's the difference between having knowledge and having wisdom and discernment.
right, right. So I found that like when I did go about it the way that I used to, where I would always say, "Oh no, that's bad," or
Yep.
you can't do this, or boom, 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 boom. I noticed
Mhm.
that people would close or shut down.
Yeah, for
Now I
sure.
didn't want to hear me talk about anything spiritual, anything. You know what I'm saying?
Hmm.
So I had to stop that. And it's just the same way like with artistry, you know what I'm saying? Like my
Yeah.
music or whatever, like that is an art, you know.
Hmm.
Um your ministry and how you communicate with people and things like that. So I had to learn and grow and mature in that way too. I feel like
Hmm.
I love where I'm at with it now because
Me too.
I just man, everybody and it translates over to the music. That's why when I was in the Hebrew Israelite community heavy, the number one song or my most streamed song was to Zion.
Mm. Yeah. Yeah. For sure.
I think it has like over 1 million streams. But since then, my most streamed song is Speak Life.
Mm. Both of
Speak
which articulate unity.
right. Speak Life transcends it just transcends like it speaks to everybody. Anybody can hear that song and be like and they feel motivated by it.
Hmm. Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? No matter what their faith is. And
Hmm.
it's so crazy because even in that song, in the second verse, I said, I'm a Essene. I
Hmm.
do things a little
Yeah.
different.
Hmm.
A lot of people ain't
Yep.
gonna pick up on that and like they don't care about that. They just
Right.
they love the message that's being conveyed in the song. So it's like it resonates with them. You
Hmm.
know what I'm saying? So when I noticed that, I was like, yeah, see, I want to make more music like this that
Right. Yeah.
everybody can listen to and resonate with.
Hmm.
And not just focus on one demographic of people. Like, yes, I love my people, but
Hmm.
I want, like I say, music is powerful, so I want
Hmm.
everybody to be able to listen. Yeah,
Yeah. That's it's very interesting you say that. Um, while we were talking here, you were basically saying that you had two, at least two, but albeit multiple awakenings. And I had one myself prior to me making this channel. Really, it was the Most High made it clear to me that I have a divine calling to give wise counsel, and
Mm-hmm.
in other words, to be a counselor, and that's sort of what this channel is about. But
Mm-hmm.
then within that instruction, I wasn't told to give wise counsel to his people or wise counsel to Israel or wise counsel really to any specific demographic. It was just give wise counselor and be wise. So it's like, well, what do I do? How do I get there? So I read all of the wisdom literature that I can get my hands on, and I come to this conclusion, and I really wonder what the camps will think about this, because this is my ideology. I haven't seen anyone say this, but
Mm-hmm.
when you look at the Levitical priesthood, they have no inheritance because the Most High is their inheritance, and the opposite, of course, is the other tribes of Israel. But the other tribes of Israel have to go to the Levitical priesthood in order to get to the Most High. And obviously, the Messiah has taken the place of the Levitical priesthood in that regard.
Mm-hmm.
But then, what does that mean for the other nations? Because there's this idea that the Most High only loves Israel and hates everyone else, and it's just not true. And
That's
so
not true.
when you read the scripture, because that's one of the main points that people like, oh, you preaching hate. It's like, it's not, but some of us are, but it's not true. So, but then when you read, it's like, or at least when I read, I think, well, then it's the same order for the other nations. So it's like the other nations go to Israel, because when you read like Deuteronomy, it says like he picked us out and anointed us to be a holy nation, a royal priesthood. We're a priesthood.
Mm-hmm.
And what do priests do? They have a spiritual beckoning for others to reach the divine.
Mm.
And so that's how other nations should see Israel, and then that's how Israel would see the Levitical priesthood. It's not all about Israel. Israel is just the connection between the divine and everyone else on the planet.
Mm-hmm.
So it is about everyone on the planet. It's just under a specific order. And so I totally subscribe to what you're saying. Like, your music should be felt not just by a specific demographic, but it should resonate with everyone, because that's our responsibility as Israelites
To be a
to
light to the world.
exactly to be a light to the world. And so that's it's very beautiful that you say that.
I
So
I wanted to say this.
mhm.
So I'm working on a song, and it's called "What Is Love."
Hmm.
And what you just said, I said this in my verse. I said, "Ain't it baffling how much?" I said, "Ain't it baffling how much pride humans deal with, especially those who dwell in the West who think they're so perfect, bragging to the world that they've been chosen, making everyone who they believe wasn't feel so worthless."
Yeah.
The I said the nerve of you Nagas. There's people in other nations that's holier than you, way closer to Abba. If I'm
Hmm.
keeping it a stack, y'all really the problem. Ego driven, carnal
Indeed.
as hell, just like your forefathers.
Yep.
And I was like, wannabe scholars, the audacity that y'all out here charging for knowledge. If it were me, I would teach it for free because I'm rich in the spirit. I'm not in it for dollars.
Sheesh.
Or some. But yeah, I was like, and the chorus is like, what is love? And dun 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 dun. So
Oh, I
yeah,
can't wait. I
so
can't wait.
yeah,
That's yeah. That's really interesting, because I think there is an oversaturation of this pride that you get from, oh, we're chosen, we're the chosen people. It's like, yeah, but that is it really desirable? Like, you have all of this responsibility that you're not living up to right now. So
hmm,
like, yeah.
exactly.
Okay. So to sum this all up, If this was your last message to the world that you could give with your words, your gift, your music, what would it be?
Repent. No, I'm just playing. No, no, truly, I would say repent, but um, last word. Hmm,
Take the time.
that's a good question. To be honest, it's a good question. It's a difficult one because everybody. I'm trying to think of something that could reach everybody and be impactful to everybody. But I often think that like people are on different levels in
Hmm.
their journeys.
Hmm.
So it's one of them type of things you have to meet them where they at, and like so if I had to tell them something, it would have to like be able. It have to be something that no matter what where they are in their journeys, they can hear that and be like, yeah, that's I need to hear that. Like
Hmm.
so, mm, and I don't want to sound so cliche, you know what I'm saying? Like so,
Eh.
but my biggest thing is love, man. Like
Hmm.
just love one another, but you can't do that until you love yourself.
Indeed.
Love your neighbors, love, the pretty much I have to read something because I got quotes and stuff that I wrote down, and I live by these,
Hmm.
and and also too, just man, just the teachings of the Messiah, everything he taught about like love and just being there and helping and assisting others. So that's what I would say. I would just say that like continue working on yourself.
Hmm.
Prioritize healing. And that when I say healing, I'm talking spiritually, mentally, physically. And when you work on yourself, and I'm talking truly just work on yourself,
Hmm.
it would be so much easier for you to help other people. You know what I'm saying? Like you can use your
Right.
own testimony to help uplift other people,
Right.
But yeah, I don't know. I honestly don't even know what I would say, bro, to be honest with you.
Mm.
It just depends. Depends.
Mm.
Cause like when I talk to this person, I tell them just based on their circumstances or whatever.
Hmm.
I'll tell them something based on this person. What they going, I'll tell them something. But like I say, it's just one of them things where like I have to sit and pray and meditate and see what I can say that no matter where they are, I can say something and they be like, yeah, I,
Yeah.
I feel
It
that.
sounds like it's like repent so you can get closer to the Most High, and in doing that, work on yourself consistently. Because when you work on yourself, you can help someone else, and when you help
Mhm.
someone else, you're helping the world.
Yes. But you got to help yourself. If you want to see change in the world, you have to, be that change. You have to,
Right.
be the change that you want to see. And
Right. Precisely.
yeah, so like I said, I watch a lot of Avatar on The Last Airbender.
Oh my good, that's my favorite show of all time.
And man, what is it, Gyro?
Iroh, Uncle Iroh,
Iroh,
my favorite character.
all the wisdom,
Man.
you know, what he said, JUCO, I said, he was like, in Uncle, what would Uncle say?
Yeah.
In order to save yourself, you must save
All
yourself
right.
from your other self, something like that.
Yeah, yeah.
But
Yep. That's the last season. Yep.
yeah, so you know, like I say, man, it's wisdom like that. I want to. I can tell you're into philosophy.
I am. That is true.
Have you studied Socrates?
Absolutely.
Socrates would always ask, like, his thing was like, okay,
Socratic method.
when whoever he was talking to, and they were sharing like all the stuff they knew, he's like, okay,
Yep.
why did you this and that, and then they'll explain, and he was like, okay, but why would you do? You know
Yep.
what I'm saying? Just keep going
Yep.
and going and going, and then like, what's the quote? He said, he's
I
like,
know that I know nothing.
I know nothing.
Hmm.
You know what I'm saying? So
Yep.
yeah, man, I be studying these people, bro, and yes.
Oh man, well put. This was a beautiful conversation. I thank you again for coming onto the channel, good sir. Uh, please let those who are watching know where they can find you, like your Instagrams, etc. And where are you going to be streaming the new album when it comes out?
Um, I'm only operating with well, I just did a TikTok like a couple weeks ago. I just created a new page finally. But so I'm on YouTube, Instagram, TikTok. Those are my socials, and it's I mean it's simple. You type in Inyarachaa. I think on YouTube you can just type in Inyarachaa. It'll pull my page up. If you go on Instagram and TikTok, my name on there is official underscore Inyarachaa.
Mm, okay.
So those are my socials. Now, when it comes to the music, music will be everywhere. Apple Music,
Okay.
Spotify, Amazon Music, Deezer, uh, iHeart, everything,
Copy that.
you
Nice.
know. So and then as far as the album, I'm like 98% done.
Nice. Nice. I look forward to that.
Yeah, so it's a lot of good music, man. I'm talking good music. I'm happy. I'm excited because you know I mix and master my own stuff.
Hmm.
So I finally felt like I unlocked a new level of mixing and mastery to where the music to my ears sounds good. You know what I'm saying?
That's awesome.
Yeah. So like, and then the people that I got Karatazar. It's gonna be Karatazar. It's gonna be Free Brew Alari.
Hmm.
He was on the song I Am. He's the
Oh, okay.
yeah, he's the second
Okay.
brother. So he's gonna be on it, and me and him got a fire songs called "Fruits of the Spirit," and
Mm.
so him is gonna be some new people that people never heard before. It's a sister down who lives in Trinidad. She's gonna be on it. There's gonna be different people. It's a brother who he's best friends with Courtney Bell. He's gonna be on it and on one of the songs that I got called "No
Yeah.
Fear." It's gonna be amazing.
Big project.
Excited, yeah. But
I'm
but
excited too.
this is this is gonna be journey 7, and this is gonna be the last of the journeys. You know,
Ah,
7 is the number for completion.
right. Exactly.
So I'm gonna complete journey 7, but then I got another one coming right behind that, and I'm still trying to think on what I want to call that one. But yeah, just know that I got so much music to where when I put this out, I got something following up. So yeah.
That's awesome. The journey is complete, so it's going to be the destination of the conglomerate of albums. That's very, very exciting. Well, thank you again, good sir, for being on here. Uh, Everyone, please make sure to check out this man. His music is phenomenal. And yes, I hope that you are all doing well. Oh, the scripture for the week. This is not out of the King James Version. This is Psalms 13, 5 through 6. I trust in your unfailing love. How reassuring. I will rejoice because you have rescued me. I will sing to the Most High because he is so good to me.
Mm.
As always, I hope that this edifies the body. Alrighty, I hope that you guys stay safe, stay dangerous, and as always, be wise.
Yes,
Shalom.
sir. Shalom. Shalom.